Good morning. As I mentioned in the beginning of my previous video, I'm studying so that I can better compete in the Gold 2 division of duels. One of the biggest areas of improvement for me is being able to properly identify what country I'm in. There were a lot of close duels that I've played previously where I lost because I wasn't able to figure out where I was in the world. So I've been studying off camera. I'm trying to learn the tips and the tricks needed to at least accurately place me in the right country. I am not trying to go for a perfect score, and I'm not trying to even properly region guess. My focus on my practice is just being able to get the country correct. So I'm going to go ahead and get into a game here on the world map and see if I learn anything. Right away, given a very tough round. So it feels northern, like these tall pine type trees. And unfortunately for me, I haven't gotten too well versed onto these antenna metas. I know in rounds like this, a lot of the better players look for the car meta, and they could look down here at the Google car, and that'll help determine where they are. Unfortunately, I am not that knowledgeable on that yet, so I'm just gonna have to take a crack and try to give my best guess. So I'm gonna go someplace more northern. For some reason, I'm thinking Europe, maybe Scandinavia, Russia, places like this. So just to be safe, I'm going to go with Sweden here and see if it yields. Okay, so that was in the middle of Poland. Personally, I wouldn't have thought a place that looked like that would be in Poland. But again, had I had a little bit more information on those car metas, I mean, I think that probably would have helped me a lot on that round. So overall, I mean, I was way off, but you know, there's definitely areas for improvement. Hmm. Ah, okay. I should recognize this flag. I've been playing this game on my phone called GeoGrid, and they have a lot of rounds where you need to be able to figure out flags with three colors or something like that. And I've been trying to study up on the flags. I feel like this is somewhere, puts me somewhere down here, and I do see the Cyrillics. At least I think those are Cyrillics. Let me see if I can find anything else. It's hard for me to see how the language looks written down. Okay, so this is not Cyrillics as far as I can tell. It looks very like a Romance language, so I'm thinking this is probably Romania. Now, of course, being more familiar with the kind of vehicles and the architecture would be also very helpful. But this flag is potentially a dead giveaway, and if I'm familiar with flags, I should be able to get it. But I'm going to go ahead and plop this in Romania. And yeah, okay, very good guess. Got the right country, we can keep it moving. Okay, so immediately off the bat, this reminds me of the United States. See this big pickup truck too. Should be enough information for me to properly guess the country. So for the purpose of my exercise, I can go anywhere in the U.S. and I think I'm going to be right. But considering I'm from the U.S., I'd like to be able to predict what region I'm in. I'm going to go somewhere in the south here. Yeah, not too bad. I even got the right state. That was an excellent guess. I think if this is a duel, that'd be a pretty strong round for me. Okay. So moving on here. These types of vehicles, right, just immediately off the bat, the first thing I saw reminds me of Japan. I see that we are driving on the left-hand side of the road here. That would also indicate Japan. And I think Japan has these yellowish license plates. Yep, that looks Japanese to me. So I think this should be a pretty quick guess for me to go and put my pin someplace in Japan. And yes, sir. Okay, so very good. Keep it moving. And immediately presented with another very difficult round. Let's see if I can figure out what language this is. Ramadan, okay, so that would imply some Muslim influence. Also looks very tropical. The sun isn't really giving me much help, but I mean, that does kind of appear to be coming from the north, which would imply that I'm in the southern hemisphere. So I'm going to have to take a guess. I think with some Muslim influence, tropical looking place, and in the southern hemisphere, the only place I could think of that would have something like that would be in Indonesia. I'm going to go ahead and put my pin down here and see. Yep, okay, I got that right. Okay, so that was also a very good guess with the context. So right there, not too bad. 17.2K, definitely a little off from the high score that I had. That first round was ultimately the thing that knocked me out of a very, very good score. But again, that's where studying those car metas would also come into play here. So that was pretty quick. I think overall I did well. I'm going to go ahead and do another game and see if I can keep the streak going here. Another nondescript looking place for me. I can't really read that. Poor looking place. Okay, so I am genuinely confused. Now, as as I was talking about earlier, and in previous videos, that there's enough information on the screen here as I pan around that should be able to give me a really good indicator as to exactly where I am in the world. These poles, the houses, even this type of road here. Where do we find buildings with this type of trim around the windows? Metal roofs. At the moment, I have no idea. So looks like this round is going to be another round where I'm going to have to take a guess. I feel like this looks Cyrillic to me, but I can't really tell. I'm gonna have to go Eastern Europe on this one, and I'm not gonna have a very good guess here. But I really have no choice. I feel like maybe I don't know if Hungary is a good guess at all in a country. I feel like it's more Cyrillic based. Hungary wouldn't be the place to go on that. Maybe Serbia. Okay, I think that's probably the best I can do on this one. We'll see. Yeah, okay, I was actually way off. I was way over here in Ukraine. Haven't got Ukraine too much in my studies. I haven't really looked at that one yet. So I can't really fault myself for that. The positive note that I can say is that I did identify that writing. I mean, it was Cyrillic, but not for me. I mean, not a bad guess. I can't fault myself on that one. I just need to learn a lot more about Ukraine. And again, okay, so this is another U.S. round. I see these bright yellow license plates. I know that's New York, the state of New York. So I think this is going to be a pretty quick one. I'm going to go and put my pin down in New York State, somewhere in upstate New York. And wow, okay, it was closer to New York City. I wouldn't have expected that, but got the right state, right country. Can't complain. Southeast Asia is sticking out here. Some English and some, yeah, it's a mix of some English words and some, looks like more, let's call it regional words written in the Latin script. Something like this would remind me of Indonesia again. I'm gonna go put my pin down in Indonesia here in the middle. And it was the Philippines on that one. Okay. So that was a tricky round for me. Usually in the Philippines, I would expect some kind of a Spanish, but then again, I don't really think I spent enough time looking. So that one I think I could have did better on. Okay, we're driving on the right in the northern hemisphere. Um, this to me looks like it could be either the U.S. or Canada. I think you could find this exact style road line in the middle in both countries. And of course, I mean, there are parts, the upper Midwest and Canada here that is very flat that I would expect to look like this. So what can I use to properly place me in the correct country? It's a bit too tough to tell. I guess perhaps it would come down to the style of telephone pole. Um, yeah, but right now I got nothing really to go on. I'm gonna go plot my pin down here in South Dakota. Wow, okay, it was way down here in Texas. I don't know why I thought that was more north. But regardless, I got the right country, and that's my goal here. So we can keep moving. Hmm. Well, I feel like I'm more in Eastern Europe, based on the style of building and the style of vehicle. On my screen, I can't make out what these words say, and I can't confirm if that's a Cyrillic script or a Latin script. This graffiti right here is written in the Latin script. But this, on the other hand, I can't tell. So what can I do? I mean, this could be. I feel like any one of these countries. I'm not sure if it's Ukraine, but is it parts of Serbia? Is it one of these countries? I mean, I would have no idea. Although I do feel that climate is a little bit warmer, a little bit more arid, based on the style of tree and a lot of the dirt here. And this car, for some reason, for me, feels very Eastern European. I just don't know which country to go for here. And I'm not sure if it's Serbia because they use the Cyrillics. And I don't really see anything to confirm how they write except for this graffiti. Maybe it's a place in between something that uses both. Maybe Serbia down here. All right, let's see if that's a good get. Wow, way off. Yeah, that one was genuinely a tough one. I mean, if there's anything that I could gather from that to help me properly identify, Russia compared to other parts of Eastern Europe, I mean, I would be very interested to know. But that one, genuinely, I mean, I had no idea. So, a couple of practice games there. I think some good, some bad. But, on the rounds that I did really poorly on, I think it demonstrates exactly what I'm talking about. I'm putting myself in the context of playing duels. There are people out there that surely could better identify countries on the ones that I didn't do a good job on. And, those are going to knock me out in the future. So I got a lot of studying to do. I'm going to shut it down here, and I will be back with another video and more commentary.